Good morning, everybody. Big up to all of you. How are you doing today? It's your boy MarkN, MUFC fan, and you know what it is, guys. It's the morning views, Manchester United news, and what we're talking about here. Well, we had a brilliant discussion last night with the panel, and I got one of my boys here live this morning, and we're going to just discuss, the returning players as we look forward to the next 3 games, as we have 11 games left. But as they have been saying, reports are Eric Ten Hag has 3 games to turn things around before INEOS makes a decision. Guys, we got returning players from injury, we got the team getting stronger, and we got a decent run of fixtures. What is going to happen? Let's wait and find out. Let's see what the guys have to say. Big up to all of you joining us. Smash those likes and subscribe. It's your boy. And I'm back, guys. Big up, big up. What's going on? Where did John disappear to? John, are you back? What's good? Guys, good morning to you, GB. And how are you doing this morning, my bro? It's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. Let's see what's going on with Eric Ten Hag. A lot of managers and a lot of people are talking about, what's next, and what's going to happen. What's the situation? Lots of things. Maybe Mark Gray, he might be an interesting player to bring in. Even Joshua Zirkzee is rumored. What's happening? Is there going to be a change in the management? Are they going for the Zerbi? Are they going for Potter? Guys, it's weird. You know what's going on? Let's see what John has to say. Big up to you, my bro. Good morning.
Morning, Mark. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. I saw what you said, and it's actually like yesterday, like last night. You were in the discussion. I think the fans at the moment forget what they said previously, and I simply asked the question: Who said that they're going to give this manager time? All of a sudden, like you said, the report is 3 days. Sorry, 3 games. What does that actually mean? Because I can guarantee you, Mark, if we win our next 5 games and we lose one more and we have a bad performance, it's tearing Ten Hag out. This is disgusting. This is not sustainable. This, that, and the other. So, what do we actually want as fans? It's like we have to say, okay, here's the Premier League trophy. And even if you give them the Premier League trophy, if you lose 3 games in a row and have bad performances, regardless if you whatever you want, you must be out. So I think it's
Difficult, right? I know, man. I know it's difficult. It's one of those things. When you look at it from the perspective of a fan who's been watching football for the last decade, bro, and seen what United has been, it's difficult to say that this manager is not doing okay. It's difficult to say that it's just his tactics at fault. It's just what his decisions are is having us in this situation. And big up to you, KennyFANtv. But for me, when I look at the situation, I'm like, we've been here before like 6 times in the
mm,
last 10 years. We've been here in the same exact situation where the first season the manager had is really good. For this manager, we played 2 cup finals, we won one, and we finished third. Right
yeah,
now, people we look at the perspective of the progression, but sometimes in life, how I look at football is like how I look at life. Sometimes you're progressing in life, but then you hit a snag or you have to take a detour because you can't make that next step yet because you're not there yet, and it delays your progress. But it's not like if you're not going to be able to make that step, because you could see, well, you thought maybe it might take another 3 months, but it takes you 6 months. you know you don't give up. You keep
yeah,
working at it, and you do your best, and you do your best until the breakthrough comes. And when I look at what the manager's past track record is, not playing his style of football and just focusing on getting results, I'm seeing he can get this squad of players who I would say aren't really the best squad that we've had into the top four. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
it's one of those things where you look at the matches week in, week out, and you see, hold on. Initially, you're like, wait, the manager's tactics are crazy, right?
mm,
But then when you see the players, you look at the players and you watch their performances week in, week out, you also see that some of the players just they don't show up week in, week out. They might show
e-
up today and then they might show up the third game and 3 games after that. And when the manager tactics or gets it right and the players actually listen to the manager, you see the team play a whole different way, and it's like, is this my team? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So I'm just looking at it from that perspective, and I'm saying, listen, let's give this manager his last year of his contract. Let's not pay attention to the media hype, because at the end of the day, we know rivals are
mm,
never going to be honest truly with Manchester United fans,
yeah,
and they were always going to be like, listen, how much we could keep them in the mud, let's keep them in the mud, because
yeah,
at the end of the day, as much as we're going to say, well, they're going to have a neutral perspective, how could they when Manchester United won 20 league titles and everyone is trying to chase us, to take us off that pedestal? It's the only bragging right we have. And
mm,
maybe this season we might not be able to stop City, but we might be able to stop Liverpool and or stop Arsenal as well and get ourselves back in top four, because I always look at the point schedule as a mathematical situation. Until it's mathematically impossible, I will never say we can't do it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And with 11 games left, that's still 33 points, bro. And
exactly.
if you add that to the what we have right now, it takes us to almost 70 points. As a matter of fact, it takes us to 77 points.
77, yeah.
And I think that's good enough for his second season. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but I don't think that we will win every game. I think that there will be a few slip ups in there as well. And I think that's only because of the type of season that we're having. I do think that we will win majority of those games. I think you put 7. I think you say 7 out of 11 games we would win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is good enough for me because I mean 7, 14, 21. That's 21 points. Taking us to about 60, 65 region. That puts us in about fourth position. Um, we need to get to the 70 point mark. I think that is
Crucial.
imperative in our race for top four. But we have to take the mitigating factors into consideration. We can't ignore the fact that our best players has been injured for the majority of the season. Casemiro has missed large parts of the season, even though he hasn't been playing well. Martinez has missed the whole season. He played a couple of games, but that's all. Rasmus Højlund was playing, and then he's not playing, and then he's playing, and then he's not playing. So that has been impacting our game. Then I will come back to the scandals of the pitch, also impacting our players. For example, fringe players like Anthony. Anthony, that scandal really hurt him because he is a player that kind of needs to prove himself. All
Mm-hmm.
right, and because of the fact that he hasn't established himself, now you proving yourself, but now you taking your mind off the fact that you have to prove yourself and you have to go fight court cases. That is a recipe for disaster. You're never going to be able to become a fantastic footballer with that environment that you're putting yourself in. And I
100.
think Eric Ten Hag understands that, and I think Eric Ten Hag realized the fact that he tried him out. He gave him everything that he needed, but there came a time where he said, "Anthony, I can't play you anymore as much as I want to play you," and that's the reason why you have Omari Forson coming on before him. For example, Omari Forson started the game. Was it against Fulham,
Mm-hmm.
where he started the game before Anthony, and that would have never have happened a couple of months ago when Anthony was still in the good books with Eric Ten Hag. And
Mm-hmm.
I think with a manager like Eric Ten Hag, we've for all the years from the time of David
Fergie,
Moyes had
David
managers
Moyes.
that were dictated to who to play. Paul Pogba must play. Marcus Rashford must play. With Oli, Harry Maguire must play. Those type of players, those big money signings must play. Now you have a manager in Eric Ten Hag that has the minerals to say you're not good enough, even though you cost 80 million, you're not good enough. This player that's coming out from the academy is doing more than you on training, on the field, so he's going to get a chance before you. Not many managers can do that. And I think for us to ignore everything, all the good that is done, and only focus on the bad, will leave us in a horrible position, Mark. Because I think you said, um, um, with regards to the 77 points at the end of the season, that's a good season. That is a good season. If you're hitting 70 points last season, getting Champions League, and hitting 77 points, okay, let's just for argument's sake say you get to 70 points on the dot, and you make Champions League, whether that be fifth or fourth. You get Champions League and you get to 70 points. That is good. Like, without looking at the context of the season and looking at injuries and looking at everything else that went on, that's a good season.
Hmm.
But because we are living this fantasy world that instant success must exist at United because we've always been successful. And if you don't want instant success, you don't have standards. That kind of mentality, all of a sudden, you don't look at the bigger picture and the bigger picture of what Erik ten Hag has done and how much more he has done for us.
100%. And when you talk about how much he has done, you got to think about the academy right now. The
Hmm.
guy came in his first season, he did a major overhaul of the academy. 27 young players left the club last season. 27, which gave rise to lots of youngsters getting pushed up from under 15 to under 18, and from under 18 to under 21, right? And when you look at it, the under 18s are currently undefeated in the league. They've been destroying teams. If it's not four, it's six. If it's not five, it's seven. The last game they played this weekend was 5-0. Shea Lacey had a bag.
Yeah.
When you look at some of these youngsters, you look at them and they were on the fringes. They were not even getting into squads. They were not getting trials in the bigger teams, and they were performing. And Eric Ten Hag moved them further. And now we can't stop talking about the introductions. We have three of them into the squad right now at the moment. Have Alejandro Garnacho getting game time week in, week out, performing well. You know what I mean? He's a young player, so of course he's not going to be as clinical, but it will come. The most important thing is that he's a threat, a genuine threat every
Mm.
single game against any team he plays.
Yeah.
Then it have the young stalwart in midfield, Kobe Mainu. I
Mm.
spoke about him in the first couple of weeks of the season, and people was laughing. They were saying,
Yeah.
he's only 17, he's only 18. What could he do? What can he do? And
Mm.
then he comes into the team, and 9 weeks later, everyone is like, yo, this guy has to get a call up from Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have seen him if not for Eric Ten Hag. And I'm not trying to say he's not a world class talent and he don't have all that ability, and he's showing it. At the same time, I'm just saying another manager might have had another idea.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
when we have to look at all these things and then look at the fact that, as you were saying, the season has not been one of smooth sailing. We had
Yeah.
lots of off the field issues, including the transfer situation. you
Yeah. Yeah.
know
Of course.
we had the Mason Greenwood debacle. Lots of
Yeah.
people have their opinions on that. At the same time, then we had the Anthony debacle right after, which is
Mm.
like 3 weeks apart. Then it had situations with Jaden Sancho. I mean, it had the Rashford situation twice this season.
Yeah.
And when you look at those things, you look around the league at all the other teams, and not much of them dealing with scandals like that. It have scandals, but it's more common in terms of management, like FFP
Mm.
with Everton minus 10 points.
Yeah.
Chelsea possibly facing a minus points as well. I mean, these kind of things happening, but if you look at it and look at all the other managers, they have, even if they have pressure from the media, pressure from their fans, they're not dealing with scandals. And most
Exactly.
of those managers have fully functioning structures above them that assisted in the development. While we have a manager who was trying to develop a structure without having the people above to
Mm.
support. And
Yeah.
now that we are getting those things, for me, is a no-brainer because one, it costs us nothing to establish the structure and the style with this manager.
Yeah.
Two, it gives us the forward process of continuing to get remove fringe players that can't fit the style of play, because everyone talks about style of play, but we have we have players in our squad from managers with three different style of play, before Eric Ten Hag.
Mm.
So we might say, well, look, Eric Ten Hag brought in some signings, but how many of Eric Ten Hag signings have played week in, week out this season? How many of them have played more than 10 games so far, besides Rasmus Højlund? You
Mm.
know what I mean? There's not many, and well, you could say Casemiro, you know what I mean? But Martinez has been on the bench for most of the season. Malacia hasn't returned from injury. So you look at these prospective situations and you think about it and you're like, wait, we have so many players out starting the season with 16 players injured. We have not been able to field our starting back four that got us, that defensive
Yeah.
record last season for more than 2 or 3 games in a row this season, only on 2 occasions. It's like, for me, well, look at what Pep does and look at what Klopp says.
Mm.
If he has Salah injured, if he has Van Dijk injured, if Pep is missing Rodri or De Bruyne, look at City.
Exactly, and I mean, Mark, if you look at last season, like with regards to Van Dijk getting injured, when I was asking Liverpool fans, shouldn't you wanting Klopp to be sacked because he last season, the season before, he was winning the quadruple. Now all of a sudden he's nowhere close to the top of the league, and they were like, no, he's our manager. Don't disrespect our manager. He's this and he's that and he's this and he's that. But when it comes to our fan base, right? We always, regardless of what the case is, we will always blame the manager, regardless about what's going on, what's wrong. We will understand that the glaze is the issue. We will understand that there's no structure above the manager. But as soon as we lose or there's something goes wrong, we blame the manager. We look at last season when you said about what happens when Van Dijk is gone. Whole season Liverpool was poor, was horrible because of Van Dijk had an injury, and they ended up fifth. They're in Europa League at the moment, and they understood that when your best players is missing, the level goes down. Right? Someone was speaking last night about adaptation. Eric Ten Hag has to adapt. Now I asked the question: okay, you expect adaptation, but what do you? How can you uh understand or not understand? How can you
Adapt.
reconcile
Yeah.
you can reconcile adaptation, but not realize that if you're going to adapt, that means it's going to take away from the style of play. Because I have a style of play. First, you want a style of play. Then, if the style of play is not possible, you want us to adapt. So I'm not playing. I don't have a style of play in your opinion, and I'm not adapting in your opinion. But then, what am I doing? What am I doing right? Because if I'm if if I am sixth in the log or fifth in the log, sixth in the log, right? Still in the
Mhm.
FA Cup, um, still able to get into the top four, outside chance, but still able to get into the top four. One Aston Villa home and away had a great result earlier. Had great results earlier on in the season with regards to Everton 3-0, West Ham winning. Um, what am I doing right? Bringing players like Kobe. What am I doing right? Am I not then adapting? Am I not then creating a style of play with the players that I have? So for me, I feel like the goalpost gets moved. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
we don't we say one thing, but when that one thing when there's mitigating reasons why we can't give that thing, um, then we say no, this or no that, or we make different, like they say, fallacies. We come up with different fallacies. We say we want a style of play. Now we say okay, you can't get a style of play because Martinez is injured and he's our left foot angle. So what do you want? What are you gonna do about that? Then you say no, adapt. But now if you adapt with Johnny Evans in the left side at centre back, you're not going to get the same as what Martinez gives. So what are we even talking about right here right now?
You know, it's funny you say that because when you look at it, right, look how important, right? And I just wanted to highlight this morning. Look how important John Stones and Rodri is. When
Sure.
John Stones not in that team, look how different. They look so much weaker at the back. They don't have that ball progressor as they do. It's the same when we missing Martinez. Now, what is hard for me to understand is how is the ideology that people would say every single player can play any style of play. That for me is like, No, hold up, wait. Some players, they really can't. And it's not like
Exactly.
it doesn't take away from their ability as a footballer. It just doesn't enhance it and get the best of it. You know what I mean? And when we look at the perspective, well, you expect, Lindelof to provide the same kind of defensive cover as a Martinez or a Luke Shaw. Now, I don't really rate Luke Shaw, but at the same time, you're not going to get that pace. He doesn't have that left foot, and he's not really, how to put it, I can't say, he not press resistant really. You know what I mean? He don't have
Mm.
that instinct. He don't have that energy, that rough housery. Like a Martinez is so missed in our defense. We don't have that defender who teams players know this fella is going to clatter me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And these things are missed. You need to have certain ideologies in your team, certain characteristics on certain players, because then when a team plays against you, they know that they have a certain way they have to behave in order if they have to be at their best. Like
Yeah.
strikers, must not feel comfortable when they're on the ball. They must know a tackle and come in. But if
Yeah.
they know they're facing defenders who just going to harry
Mm.
and shuffle with them, they
Yeah.
welcome in that because they still going to be on their feet. But if they know it have a defender who's going to put a tackle on them, they're in a rush to do whatever they have to do because they know any moment this guy will appear. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And we miss these things. And well, Bruno having a bad season, and like people want to sell Bruno. It's cool. It's not a big deal. At the end of the day,
Mm.
we want Manchester United to be better and to win. So it shouldn't be about, well, we should sell this player because you don't like this player or this player having a bad season. No, at the end of the day, for me, you have to look at the consistent performers in the squad, players who are dependable. Which ones were they this season? Rasmus Højlund, since he turned of the new year, and Bruno to an extent because most of his best games, we won those games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you look at our defense this season, Johnny Evans has been a revelation at the back. You know what I mean? Rafael Varane has been doing really well. And Harry Maguire as well. And those and I don't mention a player or two that maybe should be on their way out if we're looking to
Yeah.
improve. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Look, we see a young Kwambala came in on the right against Man City this weekend. He wasn't, inexperience showed a little bit,
Yeah. But
because
he
they're
didn't
over.
he didn't do bad.
No,
Like
he
for me,
didn't.
he didn't do bad. He didn't close the space because for me he had to go closer to, I think it was he had to go
Hold up.
closer to Foden.
Hmm.
And he had to try and make a tackle and try and put him off. But besides that, he done well on the ball. If I got the ball under pressure, he made a good decision. He hit the ball out. So for me personally, if you're going to get Martinez back, because I saw Martinez was available, now he came to the game. Um, if you're going to get Martinez back, put Dallo left back, play Willie right back, Varane centre back, Marcus Rashford back onto the left side, Garnacho back onto the right, Rasmus Højlund up front, Kobe, Casemiro, Bruno, and all of a sudden we're back.
Hmm. So it's
Do you know
like,
what I mean?
yeah, I understand, and I just looking at it like, listen, from the before the game even began, lots of United fans were like 4-0, 5-0,
Mm.
5-1, 6-1. We go and get smoked. So for me, the first half was a shock. 1-0 United. Manchester City didn't look like they was able to score. I mean,
Yeah.
this it have a new narrative, and I'm about to bring KennyFAN in the building to have his view. But at the same time, I just wanted to talk about this narrative. Shots per game. You know
Mm.
what I mean? It's football. Of course, teams are going to take shots. Now,
Mm.
if someone take a shot and within 3 meters it has been closed down by a defender, meaning the ball never entered the box or entered in the area of attack towards the goalkeeper where he had to make a save, then for me, that's okay. You want these things because it shows that the team is frustrated. Because if they're taking wild shots outside of the box, then it's most likely because they're unable to get a clear opportunity to create a scoring chance.
Mm.
So for me, unless we paying attention to shots on target, I know really with that one. Cool. Well, John, I'm gonna bring in Sachiv to have a say, and we're about to close the show. This is the last bit right here because we know
Yeah,
we
sure.
have to move to the reckless business. So, guys,
Yeah.
Sachiv,
Yeah,
talk to me, my bro. What's going on? Big up to you. What are
big up
your
to
views?
yeah, yeah. I think yeah. I'm not gonna speak much on it. All I'm just gonna say to to the entire fan base in the world. Um, I think this is gonna be a 5 years plan. It may be a 3 years plan, kind of according to the INEOS mm, when I just saw the Jim Ratcliffe interview. But for me, I felt that it's gonna be like more than 3 years, so which is around 5 years until we start to compete for for either Champions League or for the league. So so it's gonna take a while as well, because we have been like in and out of top four for like 11 years. We haven't even we neither even win both the Premier League titles and even Champions League. So so I just don't get why. I don't get why like fans are even shocked that we are in this situation at the moment. It's been like first season, yeah, it's like a free hit season, and then the second season is like, this up and this up and this. So I wasn't really that all surprised this season. So I'm just like, mm, it is what it is. We just move in it, man.
Yeah, but we just moved, bro. And like, you know what? The results are what they are. There's still time to turn thing around. And from my opinion, I'll back the manager because I've seen him turn it around before, and I think he can turn it around again. And it's the
Mm.
second season of a rebuild. I don't think it's too much reason to panic seeing that last season where we
Yeah,
finished.
exactly.
You know what I mean? I think if he was to be going 2 seasons in a row where we're not even finishing anywhere close to the top five, top four, that region, I think that would
Mm.
be more reason to be in this situation or having this sort of discussion. And as Stephanie is saying, media mischief making again to whip us fans to turn on United and help precious overrated players. And it's exactly this. And at the end of the day, guys, it's one of those things where we just had to keep it moving because at the end of the day, you know what, we still need to see some exits. We still need some players to come in that could actually provide that backup, like a left-sided defender for Martinez, who
That's
actually
very
has a
true.
left foot as well and can
Mm.
press resistant, so we could maintain that same system playing out from the back where we bought Onana. Maybe get a midfielder as well or two that could come into the midfield, one to
Yeah.
give Kobe backup and one to give Casemiro backup, or maybe even Bruno. You know, someone will say that's the reason why we have Mason Mount. But then
Mm.
again, guys, Manchester United, we are that team, we have that song, we've seen it all, we've done it all, and we've won it all, right? But right now, we're on the brink of the return, and it might be a long road, but guys, we got to strap in because the roller coaster ride not over yet. The season has a few more games, and you could still rise. Guys, thank you all for joining me. Big up to all of you coming in. John Morgan, bless up my bro. Sachiv, thank you very much for coming in. Big up to you, Stephanie Griffith. Kent, GB for coming in, and all of the rest. And if you haven't catching this live, don't forget to smash a like and subscribe and leave your comments in the non-live. Catch you guys later. It's been your boys. We've been sharing our views, Man United views. Good morning to you all.